Guardians! Happy Wednesday to you. And yesterday we had some amazing news. Brand new mechanic coming up for the Brandgate. Really excited about that. We do have lots of cards to talk about. We have some Q&A about the new mechanic to talk about. And then my opinion. Let's see. First, because this is a weekly show, so I'm going to be covering everything that was released since last Wednesday until this Wednesday, because yesterday I had a bit of renovation, new layout in the room, a new camera position, so you don't see my window behind me anymore, and the weird glares and things like that. So it should be a bit better. Yeah. If you're new to the channel, we are doing a weekly show here about Vanguard. We are also covering Dragon Ball. We are going to be covering Magic soon enough. A bit of Yu-Gi-Oh is coming to the channel as well, so we are covering card games all together, all sorts of card games. When OverDress comes out, we will be having gameplay and deck profiles as well, most likely. We will see how it goes. Yes, sorry. If you're not subscribed yet, please do subscribe, and if you feel really nice, leave a like on this video already. If not, wait till the end of the video. So, OverDress is yet another reboot of Cardfight Vanguard. We have brand new mechanics. We looked at OverDress mechanic from Dragon Empire. We had Final Rush from Dark States. We have seen some gimmicks for Kete Sanctuary with the grade 3s. And Stokaya, which attacks from the back row. Yesterday, we had a Brandgate. First, we're going to go through the old cards, if I can get them up for myself as well, because I again don't have all the translations in here, so I'm going to be reading out the translations for some of the cards. Okay, so if I can, there we go. So this one is for Stokaya, Knight of Friendship Cyrus. And his skill reads, a rearguard circle once per turn. You can Soul Blast 2 and reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a unit card, you call it to rearguard. If it isn't, you put it in your hand. This is a very strong engine if you can get any soul charging for this. Once per turn, being able to get another unit without losing anything from hand. The card looks really good. I mean, for what the deck wants to do, it looks really good. If you hit the order, you still get it to your hand, so you don't lose it. And we had that grade 1 that could potentially Soul Blast the order. Soul Charge the order. So it's nice to see. Definitely shows more of that we want to swarm the board. Hopefully they will get some Soul Charge so this can be actually used every turn. But if we're not, I still think getting 1 or 2 uses out of this. It's once per turn, so if it survives a turn, you can do it again the next turn. Or if you have 2 of those on board, you can also do it twice. So there are options that would make this card, yeah, strong. Next one we have, actually this one is in English. It's a Dark States card that I really like. So, Time Fishing Fist Colossus. Clearly a Gear Chronicle based card. And auto, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, you can Soul Blast 1. Soul Charge 1. And then if you are in Final Rush, you can Counter Blast 1 and this unit gets plus 15,000 until end of turn. So what is Final Rush? Final Rush is the special mechanic that is given to you as a player by the signature grade 3 from the starter deck. When you are in this grade 3 already at the start of your turn, or at the start of your ride phase, so it's not on the turn you ride it, it's the following turn, you are given the Final Rush state for the turn. Final Rush on its own doesn't do anything, it just gives you that option for powering up your units. Like in here, when you place it, it becomes 28,000, that's huge, that's enormous. And then Soul Charge 1 actually helps a lot as well, because the skill of the grade 3 Vanguard, Diabolos, is Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 5. Soul Blast 5, when it attacks you restand your front row rear guards. So you do need that additional soul, and this soul charge, On turn 4, potentially, if you can play 2 of those, you get 2 soul there. You already had 3 soul because 0, 1 and 2. And counterblast those 2, it's 28,000 each. And then you attack with those 2 first, then you attack with the final with your Vanguard, and then you Soul Blast 5 and restand those guys, and then they can attack again. That's a potential 5 attacks that are enormous. They're not small attacks if you person ride as well on the same turn. This guy can get way out of hand very, very quickly. So I'm really looking forward to what Final Rush will do. I'm wondering if it's not a bit late that it's a turn 4, but we've seen Stokaya also being a turn 4 play. Dragon Empire looks like a turn 3 play, and so does Brandgate. And Kettle Sanctuary definitely looks like a grade 3 turn 3 decks. So I'm really looking forward to see how Stokaya and Dark States are going to work with this. Next one we have the Dragon Empire Order card. So this is a grade 2 Order card. It costs Counterblast 1 to play, so just flip 1 damage. You choose one of your units and it gets power plus 5,000 at the end of turn. Then you can choose one Virina from your drop zone and add it to your hand, so your starter deck OverDress unit, which makes me think we might not be getting another OverDress unit, at least in the starter deck. Hopefully we'll get another OverDress unit in the main deck, so in the main set. This is a solid support. Virina you drop on turn 2, on grade 2 either way. If they remove it with your Trickstar, Chakrabati can get it. It can get back the Trickstar, and this can get back Virina, and it gives that additional 5k push if you need it on your Vanguard or something. It just gives that additional power. It would be nice if we could see a grade 1 OverDress at some point though. Really would like to see that. Then we go into one that I'm still wondering if it's going to be good as an archetype, and that's Keter Sanctuary. So we have 2 grade 3s for Keter Sanctuary. This is a deck that only has 1 type of grade 2 in the starter deck, which is very, very interesting. So grade 3s have no defense. There is a talks that quite possibly, because we have seen that there are set order cards, so order cards that you play and they stay on board. So people are expecting a set order card, because we know that there is going to be an order card in the Keter Sanctuary. In every deck there is an order card. We are expecting set order card that is going to be giving grade 3 shield. And then the deck would have some lags if we had a way to search it. But let's go into first grade 3 here, which is Vehement Witch Ramana. When this unit attacks, you can counterblast 1, and this unit gets plus 5,000 power until end of the battle. I mean, 18,000 is a good number. Actually, it becomes 20,000 with Bastion, but it doesn't strike me as... that counterblast is really expensive. I'm not sure this card is going to be really that good. I think there might be better grade 3s down the line. And then the next one we have is Knight of Brodax Fluke. So this one is again a grade 3, 13,000 power. Rearguard Circle. You can put this unit into your soul and choose one of your grade 3 rearguards and give it 10,000 power until end of turn. Now this one strikes me a bit better, because it doesn't cost you anything besides that card from hand, and it gives it for the turn. So if you have a way of restanding your grade 3s, then it can give a lot of power there. So 25,000, grade 3 is going to be 25,000 power if you have Bastion. I would ultimately like to see a grade 3 with the boost ability, because that's when the deck is going to be really good. Lower the power of that grade 3 to like 10,000 power or 9,000 power, but give it that boost ability. And I think that's when we're going to see a really interesting strategy shaping out in this deck. But for now, those are a bit lackluster. I mean, they are starter deck cards, so we shouldn't be expecting an awful lot from here. I will be keeping an eye on this to see what they're going to do in the core set, because soon enough we're going to start getting core set spoilers, because we're almost done with the starters. We have seen the main right chains from all the starters. And yeah. So let's go into the prison. So the brand gate, I'm going to actually be pulling up all of those for myself. So first one, Galaxy Central Prison Galactus. So this is a set order I was talking about. A set order, after you play it, it stays in the order zone. So it is not removed. It doesn't go anywhere at the end of a turn or anything like that. It has its own zone, so it doesn't take your rearguard circles. How the Bang Dream had the songs that were taking the rearguard. It's a grade 1. Orders, if you don't know, are a non-unit deck, non-unit cards in Vanguard, and you can only play 1 order per turn, and they also follow the grade icon. So to play this order, you need to rest one of your units. It can be Vanguard, it can be rearguard. When this order is placed in the order zone, you soul charge free, so you get a nice big stack of your soul. And then during your opponent's when your opponent can normal call a rearguard, they can perform one of the following any amount of times they want in a turn. And they can either Soul Blast 1 and call one of their imprisoned units under this prison, or they can Counter Blast 1 and call 2 units to their rearguard circle from the prison. So how does prison work? We do have a Q&A about this in a moment, but essentially it's a skill that puts opponent's cards underneath your prison. So it puts them in your order zone, and then you have effects when you have some cards imprisoned, and then clear your opponent. It's a tax stack. Your opponent needs to pay the tax, either Soul Blast or Counter Blast, to get their units back. If it's a Soul Blast heavy deck, they might want to Counter Blast just to get even 1 unit. If they are a Counter Blast heavy deck, they might be Soul Blasting to get those single units rather than use a Counter Blast to get 2 units. There is bits and bobs. I still don't know what happens if you have 2 of those orders in play. I think nothing. They are... Doesn't matter in which prison they are, they're just considered to be in prison, so it just lets them call it. Yeah. Let's go into our grade 1, which is Aurora Battle Princess Kyanite Blue. So this is your right chain. When this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, search your deck for up to 1 prison card. Reveal it and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. No discarding, no Counter Blast, no Soul Blast, nothing. Write this, find your prison. If you go first, you write this girl, you find your prison, you play your prison, resting your Vanguard because you can't attack either way, and then you soul charge free. And that's an amazing start if you go first. If you go second, you would need probably to call a rearguard to rest for the prison, but you want to play your prison as soon as possible. Then she has an auto skill when she's placed on the rearguard. If 1 or more of your opponent's cards are imprisoned in your prison, you can Counter Blast 1 and Soul Blast 1 to draw 1 card. That's very steep cost. The soul is not that much of an issue because the prison lets you put... I mean, it soul charges you by 3. But that Counter Blast 1 can be heavy, especially grade 3 depends on that Counter Blast. So, I'm not sure you're going to be running this grade 1 outside of your right deck. In the right deck, it's amazing. You just ride it and you have your prison in hand. If we're going to have different kinds of prisons, she's only going to get better. And I want to see different kinds of prisons as well. Maybe a prison, when you play it, you take 1 specific card your opponent has and imprison it in this particular prison. I don't know. It is a possibility. Next we have a grade 2, and to find her name is Aurora Battle Princess Pink. So when this unit is placed on your Vanguard Circle, your opponent chooses a card from their hand and imprisons it in your prison. So it's a free imprison. Of course they can Soul Blast during their turn to call it back immediately. But it kind of forces them to make that exchange. So if they know they want to be calling something, they will do that. It gives you that 1 turn where you can already imprison stuff and at least know what's in your opponent's hand. At some point it's going to be interesting to start pinpointing your opponent's triggers if we have more skills that can actually imprison from hand. Because we have seen 2 cards that can imprison on board, which we're going to go into in a moment. And then she has also a rearguard skill, which is continuous, and it works during both players' turns. If you have one or more of your opponent's cards in your prison, she gets 2000 power, so she's essentially a grade 2 12k. It's not exactly 13k that can hit the Vanguard, so it's just short of that magic number. Again, I think there might be better skills. She seems like an amazing card in your Rider deck, but at the same time it forces you to make your opponent imprison a card, and then if you have nothing to do with that on that turn too, she didn't really accomplish anything, just let your opponent call a card earlier. Or just call a card, essentially. And I think I would be looking for a replacement on this one. The deck looks amazing, I like tax decks. Death and Taxes is one of my favorite Magic decks. But I am not sure about this girl. 12,000 rearguard also doesn't really convince me that much. But maybe in testing it will end up being good. The problem is that she only imprisons when you play her on Vanguard, and I think that's where I'm having the most issue. And next one we have our big boss lady, Aurora Battle Princess Seraph Snow. So she's your main grade 3, and boy is she good. On Vanguard Circle, during your turn, if one or more of your opponent's cards are imprisoned, she gets plus 10,000 power, so 23,000 power. She's amazing. But there's more. If you have 3 or more cards imprisoned, she gets drive plus 1. In the starter deck, we get a card with triple drive check. It's amazing. It's strong. It's draw free. The thing is also that she, on her own, can fulfill majority of that condition. If your opponent skipped on putting something back from your prison, then at some point she is just going to be always drive free. We need more skills to imprison, obviously, but this is a good start. I would like to see a skill, as I said, that imprisons from hand. More imprisoning from hand on Rearguard Circle rather than Vanguard Circle. And her second skill is Activate Vanguard or Rearguard Circle. Once per turn you can counterblast 1 and imprison 2 of your opponent's rearguards. Yeah. So as I said, on that counterblast 1, that's where you want your counterblast, because you counterblast 1, take 2 of their cards, and you have 2 out of 3 for her additional drive check. And then your opponent also needs to counterblast to get those cards back, or soul blast 2. She looks strong. I do want to see more support for her. As I said, Prison seems amazing, and it opens a lot of possibilities, right? With Prison, with that set order card being cornerstone of the strategy, I'm really excited to see where this goes. And their support card, which actually dropped this morning, and I might or might not just record it this morning. It's, there we go, Alert Guard Gunner, which looks like Dimensional Robo card, and I love my D Robos. Great Dayusha, Reverse Dayusha, all that stuff. And strong skill, which forces your opponent to defend. So on Rearguard Circle, when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, you imprison 2 of your opponent's rearguards. Which, yeah, it's for free. You get those cards. You either force your opponent to guard, or they take that damage, and you take 2 of the rearguards to your prison with your Vanguard skill already used. That means they're going to have 4 in prison. So your opponent will need Counterblast 2 to be able to get back all 4 cards back. I mean, that's provided they called 4 units in the first place. But I think this card is going to be really interesting. Forcing that a guard, I would definitely keep on playing 4 of those unless we get way better rearguard grade 3. But right now I don't think we are. If we got a grade 2 with similar effect, I would consider on that. And yeah, expecting grade 1 that when an attack this unit boosted hits, you imprison something. Yeah, I want to see a lot more of this deck. This looks like my favorite deck for this format. I mean, it's between this and I still like Bastion. I want to see what they're going to do with the grade 3s there. So now we are going to go into a bit of Q&A. So we got some Q&A about how the prison works. If there is only one Galaxy Central Prison Galactus in the order zone, can I place only one card from your opponent? Okay, so it's asking if there's only one unit per prison. No, you can imprison multiple cards. If you have just one prison, you can still imprison 10 of your opponent's units if you can. When calling from prison, can I perform Soul Blast twice or can I Counter Blast twice? Yes, you can. You can use that skill as many times. It's not once per turn skill. So your opponent can use that skill as often as they want. It needs to be in that open game state when they can normal call a unit. Next one is, if I call from prison, can I call regardless of the current grade of the Vanguard? Yes, you can. So apparently calling from prison is treated as superior call. So it's a very good counter to OverDress. And it looks like that's how it's going to be used in anime as well, I guess. Yeah, so if you go into grade 2, your opponent imprisons grade 3 from hand, they go into grade 2, they can Soul Blast to call that grade 3. Which I think would be quite interesting for Keter Sanctuary to actually abuse that. That would be actually really interesting to abuse. After calling from prison, can I use the ability of the called unit when placed? Yes, you can. The units are still superior called, so you can use those abilities unless it says that it needs to be placed from hand. So that's fine. And the last one is, can I place multiple set order in the order zone? Yes, you can. You're not limited to just one. You can have as many set orders, which makes me think that we're going to get more than just this one prison that we have. And the last question is about the OverDress. If Vairina in OverDress state is in prison, does it move to prison together with the original dress, so the Trickstar? Yes, they move together because it has been already said that OverDress is moving together anywhere. So if it goes to the damage, you just took 2 damage. I'm sorry. They cease to be in OverDress the moment they leave the zone, but they move together. So yeah, when it moves to the order zone, the OverDress state will be removed, and Trickster and Vairina will be imprisoned as separate copies. So they would need to Counter Blast 1 to get them both, or Soul Blast, which Soul Blast is really expensive for Dragon Empire, because Vairina's skill requires that Soul Blast. So if you are going to be starving your opponent on Counter Blast, they might have problem with using their chicken and getting back their units. Or if they're going to be getting back their unit, they will not have any soul for using Vairina. I like that. This seems like the Brand Gate is going to be direct counter to Dragon Empire. And I think that's kinda showing that the main character will need to be overcoming this obstacle. I like to see that. As I said, I'm really excited for OverDress. I can't wait for the starter deck list to be out. And then so we can start playing something, maybe some proxy play or something like that. As soon as we can. I'm going to be dragging Scott with me, and we will be having some games of this for you as soon as we have all the cards. And yeah, as soon as all the cards for at least 1 starter or 2 starters, then we can start playing around. I expect Brandgate and Stokaya to be later. They did say that Brandgate and Stokaya are supposed to be for more technical players, and the first 3 starters, Keter Sanctuary, Dark States and Dragon Empire, are supposed to be for the newer players. But they all look amazing. One thing that gets me worried is that the shield values are really low and the triggers are still at 10,000 power, and then they very randomly can just give everything plus 10,000 power, and you have no way of defending this unless you lose tons of cards from your hand. It all depends on the shield value of the triggers as well, but that grade 1s dropping from 10k to 5k I think is going to be painful. We'll see. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, let us know what do you think is going to be the best deck from those 5 that we have seen so far. What nation are you excited to play? Are you excited about the prison and the tax mechanic, or maybe you want the back row attack from the Stokaya? Or maybe Final Rush is your thing, or OverDress, or we have the grade 3 spam, maybe you have Morikawa Spirit in here. Let us know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys around next week for the next OverDress news.
In this series, myself and Peter will be battling it out to see who can be the best warrior in all of the universes and timelines combined across Dragon Ball's history, starting from the very first set up to the most recent set. And I hope you all enjoy the history of the Dragon Ball Super card game.